Hey everybody, welcome to Traeger Kitchen Live. My name is Danielle Bennett, also known as BBQ, and welcome to my backyard here in Central Florida. I am one of Traeger's pitmasters and a culinary and barbecue pro expert. I'm really excited to be here tonight because this is one of the most exciting weeks for all of us in Traeger Nation and Traegerhood, because this week it's all about Traeger Day. May 15th, this Saturday, it is the biggest, hugest block party there is in the world for all Traeger enthusiasts. I've got to tell you, this week I have been so excited to do this Traeger Kitchen Live, and of course this Saturday I can't wait to see all of the exciting, incredibly awesome things that people make on their Traeger grills. Now remember, if you're going to participate in this Saturday's beautiful Traeger Day, and I highly recommend you do, make sure you make every post you do with the hashtag Traeger Day, because you know what? You could win some prizes. In fact, the first 1,000 people that tag their posts on Traeger Day this Saturday, May 15th, well, the first 1,000, you guys get an exclusive 2021 magnet. That's right. The next 5,000 after that get the exclusive 2021 Traeger sticker kit. And are you ready for this? The Mac Daddy, the biggest of them all, a massive, and I'm talking massive grand prize this year. It is a Traeger Timberline 1300. Yeah, this one right here. Amazing. And then on top of that, you get 200 pounds of Traeger pellets. Yeah, that's 200. That's a darn good time right there. That's a lot of wood. And then you get also a beautiful Yeti cooler from our friends at Yeti. And of course, we got to hook you up some meat. So our friends at Snake River Farms have provided you with a $200 gift card as well. And that's going to be for our grand prize winner. You also get a beautiful cutting board and a couple of other things like a cover, and you just never know what else can happen. You know, one of the best things is you also get a private class, a private Traeger shop class with one of the culinary instructors as part of our Traeger Kitchens, our private Traeger Kitchens. Yeah, that's right. So an awesome class, an awesome prize pack, and all you have to do is make sure that you tag your post Traeger Day, because this is the biggest block party there is, and I can't wait to see Saturday's creations from everybody. So here we are, we're in my backyard, we're kicking off Traeger Day, and you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna make some amazing kick-ass ribs tonight. I have got some beautiful ribs in front of me. We're gonna do two different styles of ribs tonight. Now, 'tis the season for peaches here in Florida and in Georgia. Of course, we're going to have to bring in some sweet peach bourbon barbecue sauce. We're going to talk to you through how to make that tonight. Shout out to my friends up in Georgia. I know you love you some peaches. Now, the other thing we're going to do is Traeger sweet and heat barbecue sauce. Yeah, we're going to combine that with one of my all-time favorite rubs. And then we're also going to do a classic. Yeah, classic wedge salad tonight with a homemade dressing, some crispy Traeger bacon, and you know what else? We're gonna end the night with a cocktail. So instead of starting the night, we're gonna end it with a cocktail because we're gonna get some bubblies going with a smoked hibiscus syrup, incredible smoked simple syrup done on the Traeger grills. It is one of my all-time go-to favorite summer cocktail concoctions, and so that's how we're gonna end our night. So here we go, everybody. Let's go. It is going to be a great night here on Traeger Kitchen Live. Remember, you can ask questions. We will be taking questions for the next hour live. So whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, make sure you get your questions in live, because you know, you want to be a Traeger champion too. Hope you guys are having a great night. I've got 2 racks of ribs in front of me, and these are my favorite go-to ribs. Do you notice what these are? These are called St. Louis spare ribs. And so they're actually cut from the entire big rack of ribs, and they get cut into this beautiful rectangular cut. And the reason is it's all about giving you the moistest, most succulent, juicy, delicious, you know, incredibly wood-fired kissed ribs. Because don't we all want those? We all want good ribs. Not just once, not just twice, consistent, repeatable results. So where do we begin? Well, we've got some beautiful racks of ribs. We're going to do a little bit of trimming, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take off the membrane. Yeah, that kind of papery stuff that's on the back of the ribs, that's kind of really important to take off. So we've got our beautiful racks of ribs. You can see when you're buying ribs, make sure you pick nice, beautifully marbled ribs. You want to take a moment there to look for those beautiful flecks of fat. Beautiful pork fat, people, is a good thing. You want it to succulently melt through this delicious rack of ribs, so you end up with juicy, delicious ribs right from the get-go. Now on the back, you want to take a look at the membrane. You want really nice white Yeah, that membrane, nice and white. You don't want to see a lot of marks in there. So if you can buy them in individual packets, this is the way to do it. This is how I love to buy ribs. Now, on the ends of these, there's a little bit of an issue. Just a little bit, we're going to address it. So typically on the ends of a St. Louis rib, you're going to notice there's going to be a section here that's really covered by a little membrane or a little bit of fat. So I've got my trimming knife. It's just a 6-inch bony knife. And what you want to do is you just want to cut it out. And here's why we do it. You see, the thing is that fat and protein heats up very differently. And one of the key things is that by taking a moment just to remove that edge, that little bit of fat from there, you're going to expose the protein. Now, when you expose the protein, it means that the delicious barbecue rub we're going to use tonight on these ribs will actually soak into the meat. So you want to take your time and trim that all off. And remember, it's all about Traeger Nation this week. So, you know, once again, let me remind you, Traeger Day is coming, people. It's this Saturday, and it is going to be epic deliciousness. Yeah, I said it, epic deliciousness. That is how we are going to roll this Saturday. So we've trimmed off one, as you can see. We've now exposed all the meat at that end of ribs. Same thing, we're going to go to this one, do the exact same program, grab our knife, grab the membrane just at the end here, that little bit of fat, run your knife, and remember, you always want to place your knife nice and horizontal on that rack of ribs. Why do we want to do that? We're not here to gouge our ribs. We don't want to go digging in there. You know, it's not a sandbox. So grab your ribs, grab the meat at the end there, get rid of that little fat bit, keep as much meat on there as you possibly can, and that way we're maximizing the opportunity to get delicious barbecue rub. Traeger Pork and Poultry, my rub of pork choice into these ribs tonight. So super awesome, super delicious. All right. That's it. That's all we got to trim. Like, seriously, that's all there is. One of the benefits of doing a St. Louis cut rib is this consistency and shape. You see, this is my favorite because the bones, they lay nice and flat. And that makes a big difference because moisture travels, well, kind of follows gravity. So if you ask me, I think this is a far superior rack of ribs to anything else out there. But here's the next step. And a lot of people struggle with this. One of the key things that I love to do for texture, for flavor, is to remove, once again, that membrane on the back. That right there. So here it is, everybody. This is the DQ method on how to take that membrane off the rack of ribs. Now, I have seen in my entire career of barbecue going into year 16, thank you, Traeger, year 16, and I have seen everything from pliers to people that slash the back to doing a whole bunch of crazy stuff, including a blowtorch once. Never seen anything like that. But here is my tip. Get you a paper towel. Yeah, seriously, a good piece of paper towel. And by the way, this is where you want to get actually a better quality paper towel because the better quality paper towels, they've got a bit of a texture to them. It makes it so much easier to grasp the membrane. Now, we can try to fight with it while it's laying here because it's kind of like, you know, kind of soft, kind of hard to squishy to grab. But here is my tip. This is my tip, guys, for you. Hang your ribs in your hand. And the key to this is the fact that the membrane is going to get really super tight. Yeah, see how tight it is? So we can do it floppy down there. It's going to be a lot harder to grab. Or we can hang it in our hands just like this, grab a piece of paper towel, and you're going to grab it right in between those bones, just like this. And when you grab it, what you're going to do is you're going to pull up towards you. When you pull up towards you, tuck the paper towel underneath. Okay, as you can see, I'm tucking it underneath that membrane. You see, we've already got it started. Now, once you get it started, just come in again, and all you have to do is pull it right off. By the way, just like that. It's not that hard, but that method of hanging it in your hands, you know, this is the DQ method of how I do it every single time, is so much simpler than so many things out there. Pretty simple. I don't like gouging my meat with extra knives, extra sharp things, jacquards, anything like that. That to me is the easiest way to keep the integrity of the meat, to not pierce extra holes in it so we don't lose any of that delicious juiciness from our ribs, and to get that membrane off. And here we go. We'll do it again. Once again, try to find ribs that don't have the big slashes in the back, and sometimes that happens. And if that does happen, you know what? You're going to have a bit more of a difficult time, but it's okay, everybody. Hang those ribs in your hand just like that. Grab a fresh paper towel. That might be the hardest thing for me tonight, to grab that paper towel. And then hang them in your hand, grabbing that membrane, once again, in between two bones, tucking the paper towel underneath, just like that. And then once you've got it started, come in with your paper towel and pull it off. Once again, just like that. Not hard at all, everybody, okay? So that's my method for taking off rib membrane. It works every time. It's super simple and consistent. So let's get on to the business of making some amazing ribs. We've got 2 racks of St. Louis cut ribs, and here's how I do them. Now remember, all of the recipes for tonight are available at TraegerGrills.com. And if you don't have the app already, I'm gonna tell you, you're missing out. Thousands of recipes by amazing people like Dennis Prescott, Matt Pittman, Chef Amanda Haas, and of course, a whole bunch of amazing cooks, pitmasters, backyarders, and outdoors people. These people have got lots of videos up there, lots of recipes. Chef J. Rob in the house as well, loving his recipes. And here's the thing, there is such an incredible selection of recipes available for everybody, because if we know one thing, it's that barbecue brings people together. And this is what I love about barbecue. We're bringing people together through all walks of life, through all areas of barbecue and grilling. So, got our racks of ribs. We've got the meat side down, bone side up. Why is that? Because I always do the presentation side last. Got our racks of ribs. I have one of the most powerful tools in barbecue right here. Well, besides a kick-ass grill. This is apple juice. You can use peach nectar, you can use bourbon, you can use whatever you want. Give it a little spritz. So the little spritz does a couple of things, okay? We're gonna give a little moisture to it. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there that love to use mustard, that love to use a lot of things. This apple juice has a little bit of sugar in it. And the little bit of sugar gonna help us create better bark, better barbecue, better goodness overall. So, give them a little spritz. Come on over, grab your pork and poultry rub. This stuff right here, I wish Traeger would make it in 5-pound containers. No joke. I wish they would, because goodness knows I would buy them. You wanna give it a nice generous rub all the way through. Now look at that color already. Deep, rich, barbecue sexy mahogany. That is some yumminess right there. We're getting our ribs rubbed. We're getting our ribs rubbed. We're making them all succulent and delicious. Now remember, you eat all sides. Make sure you season all sides. So don't forget about the edges. We're trying to give you the best rib recipe ever for the best method ever. And make sure you check out, of course, all of the rib recipes on Traeger Grills 321. We've got lots and lots and lots of great recipes in there. Now, you always can go and put in a little more spice if you want. Hey, it's your house. You got to do you, boo. And basically, for me, that means that I'm going to just use this straight up. Now, once you have that all on there, give them another spritz. Because a little bit of water on the surface of the ribs when it goes to the grill is a good thing. Here's why. Smoke is water soluble. Yeah, that's right. If you put 2 pieces of meat on the grill, one is damp and one isn't, the one that is damp is going to rock out flavor a lot more. That's a really important tip, okay? I love me some meat science. All right, become one with your meat, people. You got to rub your meat. You got to give it a little love. You got to make it good. So once we have those side done, we're going to flip them over. We're going to do the other side. And we're going to just basically repeat the process. Once again, coming in with that apple juice, that peach nectar, whatever you got going on, pineapple juice, bourbon, it's all good. Just get a little surface moisture in there. Pretty simple like that. Easy peasy, no problem. Be generous. Get that rub in there, everybody. Love up on your meat, just a little bit. Not too much, a little bit. And make sure you have your grill going between 225 degrees and 250 degrees. Anywhere in there is great. If you want a little more smoke, of course, on the Timberline and a few other models, you could always hit that button for Traeger Super Smoke. That'll give you that ultra clean, super delicious, amazing, amazing flavor. We've got them rubbed, we've got them loved, we got them spritzed. We're going to the grill. Now, when you put them on the grill, about every 45 minutes to an hour, somewhere in there, you want to spritz your ribs. We're going to encourage as much smoke to get in there so we can develop that delicious, delicious, amazing mahogany bark on the outside. All right, everybody, let's go to the grill with these. We're going to the Traeger Timberline tonight, and I'm using hickory and cherry wood because, well, you're at my house, and this is what I chose. I love combining woods together. I love the challenge of coming out with new creations. So you use what you want at your house, but at my house right now, it's hickory and cherry. So we've got the Timberline right here. We're going to open the lid. Now, I happen to have some other things that are staged here tonight because this is really easy for us. We're going to put these on there. Oh, hey, by the way, do you want to see a really sneaky tip? Here's the squish. Watch this. So you see these ribs right now? We're going to put them on the grill. But here's the thing. Don't forget to do the DQ squish. You see how long this rib is? When you put it on the grill, squish it together. It'll get plumpier. Plumpy ribs are a good rib, everybody. Squish them. Do a little DQ squish. All right, on to the grill we go with these. Give them a little squish. Get them a little thicker. Get them a little happy. We're going to get wiped down, and while we're wiping down the counter and sanitizing the counter, Brian, you got some questions for me?
or clues on removing membrane from baby backs? Is it similar?
So the question is, how to remove membrane off baby backs. Now remember, baby backs go against gravity. They've got a curved bone on the back of those ribs. So one of the key things about that is that you're gonna maybe have a little more of a challenging time, but still follow that method, holding them up in your hand, making sure you take a moment to pull it up towards you, and then trying to get them off. Baby backs are a touch more challenging just because of the curvature of the bone. One more question, please.
Can you let the ribs sit overnight?
So the question is, can you let the ribs sit overnight? Well, I'm not gonna show up to your house and tell you not to do it. I'm also not gonna check your fridge. But let me give you some tips about that. When it comes to putting any salt-based rubs on your ribs overnight, remember, ribs are kind of a thin meat, right? They're only about ½ an inch. So I would always tell people this, you can absolutely do that. If you got time issues, you got time constraint issues, of course you can do that. Absolutely, you may have to do that. But here's the thing, the second you touch any meat with salt, you're gonna start to draw out a little moisture. Now that doesn't matter so much on a pork butt, it doesn't matter so much on a brisket because there's such a large piece of meat that it can compensate for all of that. But on a rack of ribs, it could actually make a big difference. So I always prefer to do this, season them cold to the grill. Don't let them come up to room temperature. Here's why. This grill back here is amazing for flavor. Seriously, that's why we have Traegers. They're not just an amazing grill, they're an amazing grill that gives us lots of flavor. Because we've got all of that flavor going on, we want to keep it in that flavor as long as possible. So if you raise your ribs or any of your meats up to room temperature before you go to the grill, you're going to reduce the amount of opportunity you have to build up that wood fire goodness and to build up bark. So there you go. All right, everybody. I think it's time to go get a couple of racks of ribs off the grill. Now, these ribs have actually been on for about 3.5 hours. They are about 170 degrees. How do I know that? Well, let's see, where is it? Digital thermometer, okay? As you get to cooking more racks of ribs, you might be able to just take a look at them, eyeball them up, see how it's going. But at the end of the day, you know what? A digital thermometer can make sure and absolutely ensure that you're having repeatable, consistent results every time. So wrap your ribs about 160 to 170 degrees. Now, all we need is a couple of pieces of foil. We're gonna get the counter lined up with that, and then it's gonna be time to wrap our ribs. Brian, you got a question for me?
Yes.
What you got?
When cooking on the smaller range,
Yep.
is it okay to cut the ribs in half?
So, 1 second, guys. Only on a live would this happen. Only on a live. That was our alarm going off. That's awesome. So the question is that if you're on a Ranger, okay, can you cut your ribs in half? Absolutely, you can cut your ribs in half. Just know that they're probably going to cook a little bit faster, and you may want to keep a little more eye on them. The Ranger is a super versatile grill. Personally, I can fit 2 full racks of St. Louis cut ribs on there, and then I'll just cook them like normal. But if you want to cut them down, absolutely, it's your house. So let's take a look at these beautiful ribs. So these ribs are about halfway done. I'm going to close the grill so we can hear better. So we've got a couple of racks of ribs about halfway done. We've got that delicious, gorgeous mahogany. Now take a look. By the way, I have Teflon hands, so most people will need, really clubbed up hands to do this. So we've got our beautiful, gorgeous mahogany ribs. Now look at that. Simple, delicious. But you notice they're not cooked yet. They're not cooked fully yet. So we're between 160 and, are you kidding me? So here's the thing, guys. You know what just came to my door? My Traeger Day mug. How's that for timing? That's pretty epic. I guess they really wanted to make sure I got this on time tonight. That's hilarious. So we've got our Traeger Day mug. I've got my hook up there. I've got some delicious ribs that are sitting between 160 and 170 degrees. We've got this gorgeous kick-ass mahogany color. Look at that beautifulness. Now look at that, everybody. And all that is Traeger pork and poultry rub and apple juice spritz. Now, here's the thing. You don't actually have to wrap your ribs. If you wanted to go right to your grill, seriously, and just run your rib program the way you do, you go right ahead. But here's the thing. When you don't wrap your ribs, they're actually going to take a little bit longer to cook, about 20 to 25% longer. The other thing is that you can actually have an opportunity to put more flavor in there. Your ribs also might darken up quite a bit more if you just run them without wrapping. the choice is always yours, and my choice is always to wrap ribs. Now, I'm gonna give a shout out to my friend Doug Scheiding, who says I'm the most OCD person he knows about wrapping ribs, and he's probably accurate. So here we've got a rack of ribs, we've got a nice piece of foil, usually about 4 inches longer on each end, and here's the deal. You wanna pull up the sides, and by the way, don't be buying any dollar store foil. That crap is not good, because you're gonna end up using 4 layers. You don't want this to break through. So any of the liquid, all that pork juices, it's like pork gravy, everybody. So don't, seriously, go and invest in the heavy duty box of foil. You will save yourself a headache later on, okay? So we got our rack of ribs. We're gonna square that up just a little bit. Pull up the sides just like that. Nice and neat. Why am I so OCD about this? Well, the reason is I wanna be able to get back into this rack of ribs and not break it. So I see a lot of people, and it just makes me cringe every time that you scrunch your ends. Stop scrunching your ends, people. Please stop scrunching your ends. Wrap them nice and neat, and you'll be even better at Christmas, because your wrapping skills will just improve. Nice little fold, just like that, okay? Pretty simple. Down at the end here. Fold it up. And you always want to fold up versus down, because down means you're going to lose your juices. Up means you have a chance to save your juices. Now, here's the other thing I would always recommend. If you've got multiples of racks of ribs, and typically when we cook ribs, we're not just going to make 1 rack of ribs. So when you have your rack of ribs like this, take your hand, and this is one of the techniques that I teach in my classes, and make a funnel. Why? It's a heck of a lot easier to pour juice into that than trying to make sure that the juice stays on a flat patch just like that. So make a funnel. Let's do it again. And remember, we cook these beautiful ribs on the grill, bone side down. But when we go into a package like this, we actually put it meat side down for one very important reason. We want the meat to actually be sitting in whatever you add to it. Now, at your house, if you have some favorite hot sauce, if you have brown sugar, you have butter, you have all of those things, one of the great things is that it's your house. You can customize it to however you like your flavor palette to be. You know, there are so many great products out there. I mean, I make a homemade poblano jalapeno kind of jelly. It goes great in there. I actually also put sometimes fruit preserves in here. There's a lot of options in there, okay? So make it your own at your house, but today at our house right now, all we're gonna do is put in apple juice, about 3/4 of a cup. So once again, folding up the sides, nice and neat. Folding it over just like that, super neat, and you wanna close it up. And here's the key once again. It's all about getting back into this rack of ribs. Remember, we went to the grill, we wrapped them between 160 and 170 degrees. And then once they got up to that, we wrapped them. We're gonna let them finish to another temperature. And it all depends on if you want a sauce or not. And so today we're gonna go and take these ribs to about 194, 195 degrees. So we've got our 2 funnels, we've got our ribs wrapped, and now all we're gonna do, we're gonna grab some apple juice. Little bottle of apple juice. By the way, always a good idea if you're filling up these packages with apple juice or any juice, have the juice at room temperature, because you pour ice cold juice, it's all about the shrinkage factor. And you know, if you put warm things into cold water or cold juice, you'll get some shrinkage, and that's never a good thing. So pour in about 3/4 of a cup, okay? And then make sure they're tilted nice and up. And as you saw, when it is a lovely funnel like that, it is so much easier. All right, fold it up. Fold it up. Then we're gonna go back to the grill. And by the magic of me doing this earlier, I've got a couple that are ready already. So while we are putting these back on the grill, Brian, do you have a couple more questions for me?
Of the 2 recipes you're cooking tonight, which one would go better with maple syrup grits?
Are you kidding me? No. This is a pure setup for my friends, by the way. The question is, oh my good gravy, wow. The question, this is definitely a setup from one of my friends watching tonight, and thank you so much. I'm going to guess this is Brad, or the entire crew over in my barbecue and grilling goodness club. The question is, out of the 2 recipes I'm doing tonight, which would go best with maple syrup grits? Yeah, y'all know how I feel about sugary sweet grits. I'm going to say that no matter what Traeger ribs you make, they will go well with everything. That's all I got to say about that. Can I take another question, please?
Would you cook these on super smoke?
Yeah, you can cook any rib on super smoke. Remember, super smoke is available up to 225 degrees. It is epic awesomeness, and of course, it'll give you that more clean wood-fired flavor. Gosh, that really got me, that question. So we're putting these ribs back on the grill. Remember, they're in the package, meat side down. And now we're gonna grab a couple that are already done. So by the magic of me doing these quite a few hours ago, we've got a couple of packages that are completely done. Brian, give me another question, please. So the question is, have I ever brined ribs? Yes, absolutely. You know, brining is a process of taking out one weighted water and replacing it with a more dense, heavier water to increase the moisture content. One of the key things about that is you can actually imbue all of your meats with a lot more flavors then that are customary to you. So it's not always just about brining for moisture. Sometimes it's all about brining for flavor. You can absolutely brine just about anything out there, and it's just another option. Remember, there's no one right way to barbecue, but there is some really good meat science in order to get great results. So these ribs are done at about 204 degrees. These ribs right now, though, are sitting right around 194 degrees. Why are we pulling them off so soon? Well, I have a rule of 10. Yeah, I always try to provide myself with 10 degrees in which to set the sauce. Not 10 minutes, 10 degrees. And the reason we go with the 10 degrees is that we really want those sauces, those delicious goodness, all that mouth-watering awesomeness to absolutely set into the ribs themselves. So for me, it's all about that goodness. So bring out the blue gloves now, everybody. Bringing out the blue gloves. We're going to flip over these ribs in the package, and I'm going to show you a technique that I think really will save on a lot of cleanup, especially if you like sauce. So these ribs are still quite hot, like I said. We're going to open it up, and then remember, because we did such a nice job packaging these up, when you open them, you can actually reuse this foil, because that's exactly what we're going to do right now. These ribs are smoking hot, everybody, okay? And there's the apple juice inside. Remember, all that's in here is pork and poultry rub, spritzed ribs, and a little bit of apple juice. So my hands are okay, but I want to show you that these ribs are beautiful. We've got a nice bone pullback. And by the way, bone pullback doesn't give any indication of doneness. The one thing that does, though, is this, and some visual clues. So you want to flip your ribs over nice. Notice how carefully I did that? We don't want them to break, because they're still quite soft, but they're not quite done. And when you're temping ribs, what you want to do is you want to go right where we actually pulled the membrane, right in between bone 4 and 5. And you want to be seeing these right around 194 to 195 degrees. So now, we've got our ribs. Now they are facing upwards. The meat's facing upwards. So what you want to do is you just want to create the barbecue boat. And I love this technique. I used this for years in competition because it just made a lot of sense. I didn't get a messy grill. I got a great coverage, and there's lots of moisture that this rib is sitting into the package right now. So this is the barbecue boat, everybody. And this is another way you can also keep your ribs beautifully contained, sitting in all that delicious pork juices and apple juice. And then we're going to sauce those and make them delicious and set that sauce for 10 degrees. So here we go again. Brian, while I'm doing the next one, how about another question, please?
Have you ever wrapped your ribs with pink paper?
So the question is, have I ever wrapped my ribs in pink paper? Yes, I have. When I do salt and pepper ribs, I actually wrap them in butcher paper. The butcher paper gives, of course, a different textural component because the butcher paper breathes. And also the butcher paper will allow more smoke to get in there. The thing is, though, is that smoke molecules or the availability of the meat to take in more smoke cuts off at a certain temperature. So in all honesty, most times I'm still going to use foil unless I'm doing a salt and pepper or what's commonly referred to as a Dalmatian rubbed rib. I'll take one more question.
Do you prefer to buy trimmed ribs or trim your own?
So the question is, do I prefer to buy trimmed ribs or my own that I trim myself? I prefer to buy well-marbled, kick-ass, amazing, thick ribs. Basically, I don't care if I have to trim them myself or if they're trimmed already. I want really thick, delicious ribs that don't have any shiner. So shiner, by the way, we don't have any on these ones. So shiner is on the top of the rack of the ribs where the bone shows. I try to avoid those. I try to avoid ribs that have any tears in the back of the membrane. It really doesn't matter if you trim them yourself, because then you can make rib tips, or you buy them already trimmed. Just always try to get really nice, big, beautiful, heavy racks of ribs that have lots of those little flecks of fat that we talked about at the beginning of the hour, because well-marbled ribs make well-marbled barbecue. So we've got our 2 racks of ribs. We're going to layer on 2 different sauces. We're going to do one in the classic amazingness that is Traeger Sweet and Heat. This sauce has been around since the earliest days of Traeger. So what you want to do is you want to, and by the way, this is also room temperature. It'll go in the fridge now that we've cracked it open. You want to pour on a generous amount. And of course, for those of you who don't want sauce, if you don't want to sauce your ribs, nobody's going to force you to. I promise I won't show up. But for those of you who do want beautiful succulent ribs that have this gorgeous glossy shine, a delicious coating of barbecue sauce on there, this is the program, everybody. Beautifully sauced ribs. And now that we've cracked this open, it would go in the fridge. Now, the other sauce we made tonight is spectacular. It is so pretty. It is so gorgeous. Shout out to my friends in Georgia. Jennifer, this is for you, my friend. This is sweet peach, beautiful barbecue sauce. Oh, and by the way, just for quality control, I just wanted to let you know, because we're at my house, we got a little bit of whistle pig, and you're darn right this went in the sauce. 1 minute. Just a little quality control. Whistle pig went into my sauce tonight. You don't have to use the whistle pig, but I'm telling you right now, I love bourbon and whiskeys in my barbecue sauces. That is how I roll. Now, the recipe for this is available at TraegerGrills.com. This deliciousness, this gorgeous sauce that we made, okay, has peach preserves in it. It's got a little bit of onion, some butter, corn syrup, a little bit of spices, and a whole lot of goodness. And one of the great things is you can add as little or as much bourbon or whiskey as you want, or you can opt out right away. So we're going to layer some of that up on here. This is going to give you a totally different flavor than this rib. So this is more of a tomato sauce, kind of ketchupy, classic kind of barbecue sauce. This is going to give you a brightness of peaches balanced out with salt and pepper and a whole bunch of goodness. And of course, you could also make either one of these spicy just by adding some delicious hot sauce. It's your house, people. Do you. So we've got our sauce. We're going to spread it out, and I like to be fairly generous with this. And then we're going to put these back on the grill just as they are in these open boats. Why are we doing that? Well, you know what? That way the sauce kind of gets a little tacky, it gets a little set, it gets a little sweeter along the edges where it kind of caramelizes. We're still running the grill 250 degrees, somewhere around there. If you want to jack up the temperature to 275, you certainly can, but keep an eye on those. You don't want these ribs to get over 204 degrees. We still want to be able to cut these ribs really neatly and tidily at the end. So let's go to the grill with these. Brian, what you got?
What's the best bourbon to put into with the apple juice for the wrap?
So a question is that what is the best bourbon to put into the wrap if you want to use that instead of apple juice or with apple juice? Well, here is the problem. Do you have any idea how many great bourbons and whiskeys there are out there? I mean, I have a few of them. I kind of like a lot of them. I think one of the things that you've got to remember is that typically you don't want to use your top shelf stuff. So this is not the stuff that's $600 a bottle. A more modest price, $50 to $100 a bottle kind of bourbon or whiskey, I think is a much more ideal wrap. And the reason is that you are going to lose some of the impact of that bourbon and some of the impact of that whiskey if you wrap it with the meat that's really hot. It's going to dissipate some. So I always like to say, if you want to make a really good barbecue sauce with bourbon or whiskey, add your whiskey when you're done cooking your barbecue sauce at the very end. So if you want to use one of those lovely, delicious whiskey or bourbon sauces or bourbon bottles that you really love, you're going to get much more of a full impact. I'll take one more question. So the question is, how far in advance should you buy the ribs before you cook them? Well, one of the key things is that if you're shopping at a big box retailer or a local butcher store, if you're going with a heritage breed hog, you know, you always want to keep your meat. I don't like to keep it more than 2 to 3 days in the fridge. You should always check the pack by date on the package of ribs. And obviously, you know, if it's been in the fridge for 2 to 3 days, that's it for me. It's game over. You got to either cook it or freeze it, one or the other. It should always be handled in a very food safe manner. In the fridge, make sure that your raw meats go to the very bottom. And of course, if you're ever doing any chicken always goes to the bottom of the fridge so you can basically reduce your cross-contamination issues. So there you go. One more question, please, sir.
Not a question, but Don Penny wants to go meat shopping with Diva.
Well, hello, Don Penny, who wants to go meat shopping with Diva. How are you, my friend? So good to see everybody. Now, I'm just going to take a minute here just to remind you once again, Saturday is coming, people. Saturday is coming, and it's Traeger Day. It's all about the Traeger Nation, the Traeger Hood, all of our delicious goodness. I can't wait to see all of the creations. So make sure on Saturday you are tagging every single one of your Traeger creations, all of your Traeger deliciousness with hashtag Traeger Day, so you can win a prize, and they're amazing. All right, everybody, we're going to move on. While the ribs are setting, it's time to make a salad. Yeah, you got to eat something green every once in a while. I mean, seriously, you got to have some balance, you know. Thank you, sir. All right, so this is, Traeger's classic wedge salad. Why the wedge salad? Well, it's at my house and I love this, so I get to pick the menus for these classes. So this is amazing. So when it comes to doing a wedge salad, we've got some super crisp. These are really crisp, by the way, okay? So you want to make sure that you're cutting and keeping the core intact. These are ice cold. I soak the whole head after I've cut it in wedges in ice cold water, and then I let it just sit in a colander to drain out excess water. So you don't want soggy lettuce, okay? Because then your dressing is gonna get soggy and it's just not gonna be a nice crispy salad. So that is my tip for that. Then we put them on a tray and get them to the side ready to go. Then it's all about making a super simple homemade dressing. I mean, hey, at your house, if you wanna make this from scratch, great. I'm gonna do it right now. It's gonna take seconds. If you've got a favorite bottled sauce, of course, go ahead and do it. But here is the one key component for me. This is Traeger bacon. If you've never made bacon on the Traeger, you are missing out, my friends. You are missing out so much. Because take a look at that crispy goodness. Nobody wants floppy bacon. Like seriously, in a salad, do you really want floppy bacon? I don't think so. Traeger bacon, everybody. Make sure you go check out my Instagram on how I do it all the time for meal prep. Superior snackage, salads, trying to convince myself that I'm eating healthier, all that kind of stuff. So how do we do it? We've got a lovely little bowl here. We've got some really simple ingredients. So we're gonna start out with mayonnaise. Use a really good quality Southern mayonnaise or make it from scratch. Mayonnaise going in. You've got a little bit of sour cream. It's all about that acid balance. So simple sour cream and mayonnaise. Really, really a simple mixture here. Got a little bit of milk to thin it out. You could, of course, use buttermilk too. Now, for even more tang, apple cider vinegar. Pop that in there. I didn't have any fresh chives. I went in my cupboard, I had dried chives. We're working with it tonight. You, of course, could use a whole bunch of other delicious herbs as well. Fresh thyme, fresh rosemary finely chopped, fresh dill, any of those things. It's your house. You can make it your own. This is a great base recipe to go from. And of course, we got some really good quality salt and pepper going in there. All right. See, that was not hard at all, people. Not hard at all. If you want to knock it up a little bit with a little more spice, you can throw in some spicy mustard in there. There's lots of options. But this is a great base recipe in which you can actually create your recipes at home. A lot of times to this, I'll also add in like some Traeger smoke roasted garlic, because I'm kind of a garlic fan. And then we've got some tomatoes. We've got our bacon. We've got a lovely little spoon. It's time to dress a salad. And literally, you see how many seconds that is? So Traeger bacon, if you can do it ahead of time, keep it in the fridge for the week, it really holds 3 to 4 days in your fridge. And one of the benefits of doing Traeger bacon is that it lays nice and flat. And so you get this beautiful, beautiful bacon experience done off the grill. No muss, no fuss. And do you know how much bacon you can do on a Traeger? I mean, seriously, people, 4 to 5 pounds on my Timberline is not a problem anymore. So we've got our salad here. And we're gonna dress our salad because we're getting to that time. We're almost to the time of it's time to eat. And you know, that's always one of my favorite times. So we've got the dressing. We'll let it sit up for a minute. Brian, give me a question.
Is the peach sauce overly sweet or is it overall neutral?
So the question is the peach sauce sweet or overly neutral? Well, you know what? The peach preserves that I use aren't crazy sweet. Remember, you can always balance the peach preserves with literally hot sauce. You can always do that. Or you can also add in more vinegar from the recipe or cut down on the sugars, period. Remember, it's your house. You need to, you know, be okay with experimenting with a couple of those things. I think it really does depend on where you get your peach preserves from. All right, another question, please, sir.
If you're cooking pellets, if you're cooking ribs, how much pellets do you put in the hopper?
Okay, so the question is, how many pellets do you put in the hopper? So I'm gonna walk to my hopper and show you. Typically at my house, we just fill them up. Really simple. We fill them up right to the top. I cook all the time. And here's the thing, as long as your hopper is closed, you're not gonna have any problems. You don't have to empty it out after every cook. I cook constantly, so I just keep my hoppers full. And of course, if you have a hopper that has a pellet sensor, it's a great thing. And they're also available as an aftermarket purchase. The pellet sensor is available. Now here's the thing. If you're looking for a Traeger product, make sure you go on the website, traegergrills.com, and you can of course use the dealer locator and locate the dealers all over the nation, all over the world now actually as well. So shout out to all of our friends overseas. We love to hear your stories about all Traeger goodness over there too. And here's the thing, it's your house. Use whatever flavor you like. I think that's one of the greatest things you can do is experiment with all of the different flavors of Traeger pellets. They are epic, amazing goodness. All that hardwood flavored goodness is just gonna bring a whole bunch of wood-fired awesomeness to your house. So we've got our wedge salad. We're ready to go. We're making the classic wedge, everybody. So I'm gonna be very generous, okay? Very generous in this wedge salad. It's crisp, it's fresh. We're going into summer season. You know, May is National Barbecue Month. Now, for me, that's irrelevant because I think all of the months are National Barbecue Month in my house. But remember, May is National Kickoff Barbecue Month. And so, of course, we want a nice fresh salad to go with, hey, anything. Grilled fish on the Traeger. You got some grilled chops, some grilled chicken. You got a whole bunch of things you can do on a daily basis. Make it delicious every single day. And as we all know, a Traeger does that every single day. So we've got our wedge salad. We've got some beautiful, gorgeous sauce on there. And now it's time to put on something else, some veggies. So decorate it up. You want onions, you want mushrooms, you've got some, finely shaved, carrots. It's your house. I have tomatoes and bacon. It's kind of like a BLT in my world. I love BLTs. So this is my BLT wedge version of the wedge salad. And of course, we've got a beautiful little Traeger tray here. I love the Traeger paper, not just for wrapping meats. I just think it looks really awesome when you put it on a tray. So we've got some fresh, beautiful heirloom tomatoes. And then of course, can you really have enough bacon, people? I don't think so. I think bacon is a food of goodness. So we're going to decorate that up. And there you go, everybody. Traeger, bacon, BLT, classic wedge salad. Perfect for going with all goodness off the grill. And of course, that also includes steak, because steak and salad makes my heart happy. So, salad done. Brian, I'll take a question, please, sir.
Can you put blue cheese on that?
So the question is, can you put blue cheese on it? Not if you want me to eat it. I'm just saying, if you want to do blue cheese at your house, that's great. I am not going to be there for that. However, if you like it, it's your house, put some blue cheese crumbles into that dressing and you'll be a happy camper. Go ahead. I'm going to let you come in with this one, okay? Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, everybody. Last thing before we get to those ribs again, it's time to make that delicious, amazing cocktail. Now, here's the thing. I love smoked hibiscus syrup. So I already made some, and this is beautiful, delicious, gorgeous hibiscus smoked simple syrup. And the smoked simple syrup is really, really easy to assemble. Now, you can do it on a stovetop just like I did in this little pot, okay? And I did it on the stovetop. And what we do is the first thing we do is we actually just grab water and we smoke it. So between 180 and 225 degrees, put your water in a little loaf pan like this or anything else. And one of the things you can do is throw that on the Traeger. No joke. Throw it on the Traeger, 225 degrees, 180 degrees, anywhere in there for about an hour to 2 hours. And what's going to happen is that that water is going to absorb all of the smoke. And by the way, smoked incredible ice cubes go great in cocktails. So even if you just smoke the water, throw it in an ice cube tray, put it in your fridge, it's going to be epic goodness. But if you want to make a simple syrup, after you smoke the water, put in a little bit of sugar. And the recipe, of course, is at TraegerGrills.com for everything that way. For me, I take the easy route. Here's my water. Here's my sugar. And here is some dried hibiscus. Now, dried hibiscus is available in a lot of stores. It's really inexpensive, but it makes the most aromatic, delicious, flavorful, deep, rich, ruby-colored simple syrup. So all I do is I pour that right in there, and then, pretty simple, everybody, I grab a spoon and I mix it up. And I mix it up until that sugar is no longer gritty. It's just my method of doing it. So you can do it on the stovetop after your water is definitely smoked, or like I'm doing right now, grab the loaf pan, put it on the grill, let it smoke for a couple of hours, and you magically have smoked hibiscus smoked syrup. Delicious goodness. All right, going to the grill with that. Right to the back, Timberline 1300. Gonna give that a little bit of a close. Now, one of the key things is that this smoked hibiscus syrup, take a look at the leaves when they're done. They're lovely, deep, rich red. I'm gonna give that to you, Bri. Thank you. And the next thing you want to notice is how rich this color is. This stuff is amazing. I actually shipped this to some of my friends the other day. We were doing cocktails for Derby Day. I got some more going out. It is a beautiful, rich red color, perfect for a lot of things. Now, tonight we're going to put some sparkling wine with this, or some Prosecco. At your house, you can actually mix this with unsweet tea or sweet tea, depending on what part of the South you're from. You can mix this with, of course, sodas, just regular mineral water if you don't want to drink any alcohol. And it goes beautifully with a lot of lemonades and orange juices. So you can make fun cocktails with this, and it adds such a lovely aromatic. So champagne flutes tonight, because we're kicking off Traeger Day for Saturday. So put in a little bit in the bottom of that glass. And you know, this is the most stressful part of tonight, is actually making sure that I didn't spill it everywhere. We're going to get rid of this. I've got some crystallized ginger here. we're gonna put this over to the other side. And I'm gonna do something that's terrifying me all day, and that is get this open. You know what this is? A little bit of sparkling wine, maybe some Prosecco, just a small little bottle. You know, we're gonna invite some neighbors over later on. And so if I can get this open without causing chaos, yay! I'm so damn proud right now. Look at that goodness. We're gonna top it off. I cannot believe I didn't make that explode. That is amazing. Okay? With a little bit of Prosecco. And look at how good that looks. We've got a little bit of crystal ginger gonna go in there as well. It's gonna foam up again from that. The crystal ginger sets off the balance of the hibiscus beautifully. And this is the smoked simple hibiscus sparkler. Smoked hibiscus sparkler. And here, everybody. Cheers. Cheers to getting to Traeger Day this Saturday. And now we gotta cut some ribs, everybody. Okay, maybe I don't need to share that bottle. That whole bottle might be going tonight in my mouth. That is awesome, delicious goodness, everybody. So we've got our beautiful sparkling, gorgeous, gorgeous, beautiful sparkling drinks. We're gonna grab a cutting board. So I'm gonna grab a cutting board right here because I am about to cut those beautiful ribs I sauced. They should be just about done now. We're gonna grab a couple of gloves. Brian, I'll take one more question.
Can you start with ice to get more smoke?
So the question is, can you start with ice to get more smoke? Not really, because, you know, you can just go with regular water and just put more water in. It's not going to make much of a difference. I'll take another question, Bri.
Can you make ice cubes with it?
Absolutely. As I spoke, absolutely. Smoked watered ice cubes are amazing. Now, here's the thing. You can actually juice them up a little bit more and make them all kind of fancy, a little bougie. Take your ice cube tray and cut tiny little pieces of either microgreens or herbs and maybe some little lemon zest or a little bit of orange zest. Pop that in your ice cube tray before you put your smoked water in there. And you're going to get these really beautiful ice cubes. And there's, you know, there's the ones that are nice and round you can buy. There's a whole bunch of different shapes these days. And those are just absolutely brilliant to use for really amazing cocktails. And you know, you gotta love and appreciate some cocktails. So there we go, everybody. We've got our cocktail, we've got our salad ready to go. I haven't made anything explode tonight. Awesome, awesome sauce so far. Awesome sauce so far. We've got our homemade sauce. So let's go ahead and we're gonna grab those ribs off the grill. Brian, what do I got?
What temp do you cook the bacon at when you do your massive amount of bacon?
So the question is, what temp do we do? What temp do we do the bacon at? You can go low and slow on your bacon, 225 degrees, and do it really low and slow, or you can do it at 275 or above. But remember this, the higher you cook your temperature at, put your temperature at for bacon, the more it's going to shrink back. Shrinkage is not ever a good thing. So I tend to do my bacon low and slow. All right, grabbing the ribs off. And you'll notice that the surface of the ribs gets a little more tacky. So this is very tacky now in comparison to what they were. So there's rib number one. We're going to grab the rib boat number two. And here's that beautiful peach, gorgeous, gorgeous colored sauce, full of bourbon and goodness, everybody. And now it's time to cut the ribs. So we're going to let those sit for a minute before we flip them out. Brian, what do we have for questions, sir? Because I know we got some more. Lots of questions. Thanks, everybody.
What temp are you cooking the ribs at?
So the ribs are cooked at 250 degrees tonight, and basically that's a good temperature. You can go lower if you want to put the super smoke on them. You can go hotter, but you know what? I love that 225, 250 range for ribs. I don't want them to cook too quickly because one of the things is that if you go and take that meat and put it towards aggressive heat, the meat actually will seize up quite a bit. So one of the benefits of doing things low and slow is the fact that you're actually going to keep the meat more succulent, more juicy. This is regular commodity pork. You, of course, can take a look at those heritage breeds and take a look at some other cuts that you might enjoy or some other breeds. But this is just regular store-bought ribs that we got, and they're delicious and good. But the lower and the slower, I think, the better it is overall. Once we wrap them up, if you want to expedite the cooking process a little bit, you can go up to 275 degrees. That's always a good idea as well. And now I'm getting ready. I'm getting ready. A cotton glove, nitrile glove, because these are so hot that I don't want to burn myself. And Brian, what do we got?
How long do you let the ribs rest after taking them off?
So usually I let the ribs rest for about 4 to 5 minutes before I go slicing into them. And here's a tip for you. I'm going to grab the apple juice. Hold on one second. When you're cutting ribs, It's a lot easier to cut the ribs bone side up versus meat side up. Why? You can see the bones. It kind of makes sense to me. So take your cutting board, and this is a disposable cutting board we're using. Take your cutting board, give it a little spritz with apple juice. And what that's going to do is going to give you a little bit of a layer of moisture on your cutting board before you cut your ribs. So then you're going to take your ribs out of your package really carefully, okay, because now they're fully cooked. And you want to do this. You want to flip them over. Now, when you flip them over, let them sit again for just a moment. Grab a nice clean knife, and then you want to cut your ribs. And as you can see, when you put the apple juice on your cutting board, the ribs will slide nicely, okay? And that means the bark isn't going to stick to your cutting board as well. So take your knife, go in between two bones just like this. Nice and simple, nice clean cuts all the way through. And these are sitting right around 204, 205 degrees right now. And we've got delicious, beautiful, succulent, moist, awesome ribs. Because take a look at this, everybody. Look at that delicious rib. It's got beautiful bark. It's got a beautiful smoke, you know, tons of smoke in there. All sorts of awesomeness. We're going to get rid of this. Oh, by the way, before you do this, take a little bit of that apple juice and just drizzle it over there. Because not only does it have apple juice in it, now it's got some remnants of all that delicious sauce that we put on those ribs. So as you can see, we've got this gorgeous mahogany colored rib. Look at that, everybody. Beautiful, delicious, good looking rib right there. Nice and moist and succulent. All sorts of awesomeness. Beautiful, beautiful ribs coming off the Traeger grills tonight, just in time for Traeger Day this Saturday. And here we go. Here is my friend Jennifer. These are for you, my friend, tonight. These are the Georgia peach, sweet peach and bourbon ribs. We're going to give these a little drizzle. There we go, just like that with the sauce. Put that over to the side, and the same thing, we're going to cut these beautiful ribs. Now, because we're kicking off Traeger Day Saturday, because we're having so much of a celebratory evening tonight, I got to give a shout out to our first responders and everybody, because all of the ribs we made today are heading to first responders tonight right after Traeger Kitchen Live. So thanks to Traeger for being so supportive always of that. It is near and dear to my heart. And once again, take a look at this beautiful, sticking together, beautiful, big, succulent, delicious ribs. We've got, these ones are really big. Beautiful big ribs. So we've got sweet peach and bourbon ribs. We've got Traeger sweet and heat ribs. We've got some deliciousness going on here, people. And it is all done on the Traeger grills. Super simple, super easy. Remember, all you have to do, spritz your ribs, season them up with Traeger pork and poultry rub, get them all spritzed again. Go to the grill between 225 and 250 degrees. Wrap them when they get to 160 to 170. Really good idea to spritz your ribs about every 45 minutes to an hour. And when you do that, you're going to have a much nicer rib that's much more fuller bodied. And then once you wrap your ribs, you can put anything in your wrap. It's your house. You got to do you. And then the next thing is that when your ribs get to about 194 degrees, somewhere in there, it is time to sauce your ribs. And of course, tonight we made sweet peach bourbon barbecue sauce, and we're using our classic Traeger sweet and heat sauce, because I love both of them, and I got to choose the menu. So I made things that I like tonight. We made our beautiful, incredible, succulent, delicious, salad. I'm gonna say it because that succulent, delicious comes from that Traeger bacon. And now I'm gonna bring out a few more ribs, just a few more, because if you're gonna kick off Traeger Day, you gotta do it right. So we made a few ribs to share with some friends tonight, all of our first responders, and I know, oh my good God, there are 15 racks in here, everybody. We made a ton of ribs tonight for our first responders. I know they're watching tonight. Shout out to all of you guys. These are getting delivered tonight to some local fire departments, some guys that, and gals, by the way, guys and gals who give all, and take a look. If you're going to knock it out of the park for Traeger Day, if you're going to make a whole bunch of ribs good, this is how you do it. And of course, barbecue always brings people together. Barbecue always brings people to the table, because you know what? Everybody is welcome at my table. So here we go, guys. We've got gorgeous, delicious ribs. Get rid of that. I've got a beautiful Traeger wedge salad. I'm going to get these ribs, packaged up soon. Share them with friends, because who doesn't love sharing their barbecue? We're going to get rid of the gloves. I got a great cocktail. I've got a little bit more of that beautiful, delicious, sweet peach and bourbon barbecue. You know what? I'm going to add a little more in here, because it's my house and I can do whatever I want. We're going to add that over the ribs, because I love this sauce so much. It's thick. It's delicious. It's not too sweet. It's awesome and absolutely amazing. And there you go, everybody. We've got salad. We've got ribs. We've got a smoked hibiscus sparkler. And I'm going to take two more questions, Brian. Go ahead, dear.
Sure. Why do you use two different types of gloves?
So the question is, why do I use two different types of gloves? Well, nitrile gloves are kind of thin. They're about, like, you know, usually very, very thin gloves. And these ribs, when we came off tonight, they were right up there at 195 degrees. Now, I don't know about you. I may have really strong hands, but I'm not quite in the mood to handle 195-degree ribs. So the layering of the knit gloves plus the nitrile gloves means that my hands are protected. And you know, you got to protect the ring. You got to protect the Traeger ring. And so that's why I use the two gloves. I'll take one more question. Thanks, Brian. Oh, and by the way, before you ever take a picture for Instagram or social media, here's what you do. You always give them a nice spritz, because then they get even shinier, everybody. All right, what else we got?
What's on your Traeger Day menu for this year?
Oh my goodness. So the question is, what is on my Traeger menu, Traeger Day menu today, or for this weekend? You know what? I haven't decided yet. There are so many things that I could cook, smoke, bake, roast, braise on the Traeger grills that honestly I can go in any direction. Like this morning, today is National Pie Day. Did you know that? Yeah, so you know what I did this morning on the Traeger? I baked pies because it was fun and I could. So one of the things I love about the versatility of Traegers is that I bake and I braise and I smoke and I grill and I do all this amazing stuff. So I actually haven't decided yet. There are so many great options. So once again, remember to go to TraegerGrills.com, download the app. Take a look at the amazing people that are on TraegerGrills.com and how much they bring to the table, how many amazing recipes there are. There are videos, there are tons and tons of mouth-watering delicious goodness. And hey, if you're trying to find a Traeger grill near you, make sure you check out that dealer locator. Once again, Traeger Day is coming, people, and it is a big celebration for us. It is from coast to coast and all over the world amazing because it is the largest block party in the world for barbecue. And it's called Traeger Day, and it's this Saturday, May 15th. Remember, you want to make sure you hashtag every single entry that day with hashtag Traeger Day. Now, I'm telling you right now, I'm done. I can't wait anymore. I've been talking for the last hour. I need to eat me a rib. Got a beautiful rib here. Take a look at that, everybody. Look at that delicious succulence. I've got a beautiful salad, but I'm telling you, I'm in for the ribs. I got to tell you, no joke. Well, okay, maybe some ribs and bacon. And it's delicious. I'll take one more question, then we're going to go. The question is, did I use a serrated knife? No, I used a typical just straight flat bony knife. I use that or my chef's knife to cut ribs. I'm just saying, these are good. These are damn good. One more question. See that, everybody? It didn't fall off the bone. Notice that.
How long does it take from start to finish? What's your time period?
Okay, so here's the thing. The question was, how long does it take to cook a rack of ribs? Well, measure by temperature, not time, but on average, 4 to 6 to 7 cocktails. It depends on how big your cocktails are. All right, everybody, it's been a blast. I've had so much fun. I got a lot of ribs to go and deliver. I got to get my hands washed. I got cocktails to drink. I got salad to eat. It has been such a blast hanging out with everybody for Traeger Kitchen Live. Remember, Traeger Day, this Saturday, the biggest block party in the world. I'm so glad you got to join me here in Central Florida. My name is Danielle Bennett, also known as BBQ. Come find me on Instagram, you know, social media. We kind of live there. Make sure you follow all the Traeger Grills, you know, channels. They're just so amazing. And did you know Traeger Grills just hit 1 million followers? You know why? Because they're amazing and they're delicious. So happy Traeger Day, everybody. This Saturday is going to be epic barbecue goodness. Make sure you have the app on your phone. Make sure you tag all your posts. This is Diva. I'm out. I got ribs. I got some drinks. It's time to go. Have a great night, everybody. Cheers. Salut. Ça va bien.